I awoke feeling in a very good mood indeed. The night's sleep had been restful, and I rose to prepare for the events of the day. I went to my wardrobe, where my butler had laid out several outfits for me to try on. A good chap, his taste in clothing was a bit too regal for my taste, as he was prone to do. I did so. But each one was not quite to my liking, so I again returned to my established attire. I did always prefer a more button-down oriented look of professionalism when working on a case. I would wear my everyday standard suit as I had done in the past. It fits me quite well, don't you think? With my day's choice in hand, I leisurely strolled down to the dining room area for a desired bite to eat. The maid had prepared some splendid offerings for my morning's breakfast, and I devoured them with the morning's vigor. As I ate my breakfast, I contemplated my day's schedule. I would attempt to secure an audience with the last of the toy boat owners on my list. That would be Mrs. Landgrab. I finished my breakfast and was now just left with the choice of which automobile to use. I was amused that I had the option of such an array of vehicles. I went to the garage and made my choice. The Landgrab estate was quite large and well decorated. She greeted me and we reminisced on our previous meeting, when she had provided me with insight to the Slasher's hidden manufacturing site in the old mine. I asked if anything suspicious had occurred as of late. She said indeed, someone had attempted to break into her home earlier but had been scared away by her security system's alarm. Nothing had been stolen from her, but it caused her to elevate the level of observation at her home. I requested the toy boat music box she had recently acquired. She happily agreed, and brought it to me. I asked if I might borrow it for a bit, and she insisted I could keep it for as long as I might need. She was a gracious woman. After some more small talk, I bid her a fond farewell and went to the auctioneer's studio. He met me at the gate, and ushered me inside. I showed him the toy boat. Yes, it was indeed one of the sold three. Having not heard the melody of the box yet, he bade me to give a listen to it. We placed it beside the others, and turned the crank to wind the mechanism. It was similar to his other offerings in appearance, but each of those played a different tune altogether. He explained that the three black-sailed ones were supposed to play the same melody. I listened to it play. He shook his head a bit, and I asked of the problem. He said the song was not quite as he remembered it. It had a different set of notes in some areas. A sharp where a flat had been, perhaps a minor note replacing a major? Curious. Might he be able to play his rendition for me? I took a seat at his piano and, from memory, reconstructed the melody. I, without being arrogant, did enjoy a photographic ability to music. A gathering of patrons assembled to watch my concert. No, he said, it was just a bit different. I asked for his rendition. Yet he was not as talented as myself, I'm afraid, and had trouble remembering it. But he insisted it was just a few notes out of the entire melody, and would not really affect the overall performance. It had been a slight mistake on the part of the builder of the boxes. I asked who had constructed these boxes. A novice or a master, as it may be the mistake of an apprentice. He admitted to not being privy to that information and had purchased them all in bulk for resale at auction. To make profit, you see. Fortunately, a patron overheard my query. She offered an explanation. Coincidentally, she was there to secure some sales to the auctioneer, as was her profession. She contracted with the state's psychiatric facility. It was a form of therapy for them. They were purchased in bulk for resale. The auctioneer was a bit embarrassed, and hastily changed the subject. I filed the information away, and bid him good day. I returned home. I went about to the piano on the rooftop garden. It was a grand one indeed. I sat and reconstructed the melody once more. As I did so, the maid appeared to offer tea. She smiled and listened to my concert. She had not heard that melody in ages. What was the melody, I inquired. It was an old Scottish tune, quite antique, and she enjoyed hearing it again. Its name? Find My Love, she exclaimed. And where might I obtain a copy of its sheet? She thought a bit, and recommended an antique music emporium in the Fashion District. It was known to sell old sheet music, some quite rare. They may have a copy for me, if I wished to pursue it further. I thought this avenue might not really contain anything of value to solving the thieves' agenda, but I did find the melody enticing, and decided that for my own enjoyment I would find it and play the entire song. It was a nice break from the case, and I was still on holiday. I left that afternoon for the downtown Fashion District. I located the quaint little emporium nestled in the neighborhood of clothing and retail businesses. I entered to find the proprietors, two friendly elder women, who graciously accepted my query. Might I enjoy a spot of tea? No thank you. Perchance they may have heard of an old Scottish tune named Find My Love? I was fond of the melody and wished to have the entire song to learn. They smiled and said they would look for a copy. It was quite old, you see. I commented it was a good practice tune, and a young lad studying there offered his thoughts on practice. His music instructor had always placed numbers on his keyboard to help him find the notes. As in an A note was to be number 1, and so on down the keyboard. I thanked him, good lad. I would remember his lesson when I tried to learn it later. I went to the register to ring my purchase, and walked from the store with my sheet music. It cost a bit, but I had no other means to spend money on, so I indulged myself. I did enjoy playing the piano, as I once did for Eliza. I had another errand to run before retiring for the day. I next left to return Mrs. Landgrab's music box to her. She had been most accommodable with it. I was met by one of her servants, and discussed the event of the foiled breaking with him. There had been quite a bustle with it, he explained. They were not accustomed to such events here. He said Mrs. Landgrab was in her room, and had just finished entertaining a guest. Would I like to accompany him to her? We ascended the staircase to her second-level dressing room. She would be preparing for a luncheon date, he explained. He announced me to her and left. I called out my presence and, hearing no reply, I entered. I found Mrs. Landgrab dead in a heap on the floor. She had been murdered. I rang the authorities to send assistance immediately. Now this was a new wrinkle. What had caused someone to murder her? Surely, not a little black toy boat music box. It must have been an unplanned murder, but who had been her guest? That was up to the bobbies to solve. All that was left for me was to wait for the bobbies' arrival. And so you too must wait for the continuation of the tale. Good day.